I know Michael Jordan's the best, like, athlete of all time.
We build you into something that doesn't exist, and that means you have to try to be that thing.
What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here, and you're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaze.
And today we're checking out Ben Affleck's new thriller that hit Amazon Prime, Air.
I believe in your son. I believe he's the future. And his story is going to make us want to fly. But a shoe is just a shoe.
Until my son steps into it.
Air follows the history of salesman Sonny Vaccaro and how he led Nike in its pursuit of the greatest athlete in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan. So this film was definitely hyped up because it was that story that we all kind of have never seen the behind the scenes story of, but we know it existed. We know Michael Jordan has made a ton of money off his contract with Nike. It was groundbreaking at the time. And really, I guess the thing that from my perspective, at least, that I didn't have was the fact that Nike wasn't always the front runner in the shoe game. It always feels like, from, I guess, my perspective, that they've always been on top. But this film kind of shows that behind the scenes story of how they rose to greatness and how Michael really built their brand. James, what'd you think of this movie?
Yeah, that really caught me off guard too. Just seeing that like Converse was #1 at one point and Adidas was slowly starting to blow up, and that's where all the hype was going towards, with all the new rising young stars within the music community as well as the sports community. And there was Nike down at the bottom and stuff. But yeah, this movie is good. That's it though. It's just good, I thought. I don't know what the hype is. I mean, maybe I just went in too overhyped. I was really excited for this movie. I thought it was such a fun, different idea for a movie. And I appreciated that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wanted to make something original over something that we're all aware of, but don't know a lot about. Whenever we think of Air Jordan, we think of Michael Jordan. We know Nike, but I don't think about the guy who worked at Nike at the time, who was a scout and stuff. So it was a fun story, but just overall just felt like a lot just kind of happened. And a lot of people were reviewing it on Letterboxd saying it's one of the best of the year, 4 stars. And I don't know, it's just a simple 3-star. I'll probably forget about it, and kind of already forgot about it, honestly. But yeah, it's not to say it's a bad movie by any means. I think I just went in just a little too hyped or something, but just I don't know what the hype is overall though with this movie. But what are your thoughts coming out of it?
I really enjoyed the movie, but I kind of agree with you on the same page of, I do feel like it suffers a little bit from biopic syndrome, where you're okay, if you've seen one biopic, you've probably seen them all. I think that the creative choices that Ben Affleck took to present this on the screen, where not showing Michael Jordan at all, that was all fun little nods. There are moments where Sonny, it feels like there's almost moments for me that felt a little laughable, how much Sonny hypes up Jordan, where he's gonna be the best player of all time, and you're okay, yeah, he was right, but it's just funny in hindsight, is everything. So it just feels funny seeing some of those moments where you're okay, he was kind of crazy to say that in a way, but then now that we know Michael Jordan's one of the best basketball players of all time, it just, some of those scenes seemed a little cheesy or laughable in a way, I guess.
No, that was kind of it, because I was just I don't know, I wasn't sober again watching this movie and stuff, but the whole time I was just I know for sure I agree, Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. This is coming from someone who loved watching Shaq and Kobe dominate the NBA in the early 2000s and stuff. But I know Michael Jordan's the best athlete of all time, not just basketball player. But I just couldn't understand why or what Sonny was looking at for him to know he was the best player of all time. We didn't get that background to know that Sony sees something that we all can't see. But we all know he's right. We all agree with him because we know what Michael Jordan became. We know how successful Air Jordan's going to be. But what was it though that he was seeing from that clip that that no one else saw? That's what I want to know, the background with that. And then there's constantly Ben Affleck saying this is the old Nike days. It's this is a tough decision, but I trust you and stuff. I'm why do we trust this guy? Like, what's the backstory with that? And like, almost I want to see a whole movie, a prequel about Sonny and how he got to this point in his life, or like that seems more interesting, honestly.
I do feel like maybe if they focus a little bit on maybe I'm assuming that Sonny had some failures in his career, maybe focusing on that, and maybe that's why there might have not been a little bit of trust there or hesitance. They did trust him, but there was hesitance because this was the biggest deal. And then when, you know, Michael Jordan's mother, played by Viola Davis, drops the bomb of like, oh no, Michael's gonna get a percentage sales of every shoe, which had never been done before. I thought that was very interesting, but I feel like we never got as much, you know, the hesitance should have been brought back up at that moment. It is, but it feels like it never hits too close to home, I guess, because you know where the film is going to end. Like every biopic, it does have like the aspect of like, there's almost like the spoilers are already out there. We already know the shoes, like, but the deal's been made. The shoes been, you know, very profitable and very successful, but you know, we already have the hindsight of that. I agree with you. We have that moment where Sonny finds that Jordan is special, but it's almost not translated to the viewer in a way because we already know that Michael is the best basketball player of all time, and it just comes off a little like, okay, yeah, I guess I agree because he is, you know?
I guess you can argue though that he's gambling because we see that early on within the movie and stuff too. But like, you know, that was like I liked that kind of character trait that they started off the movie, but it's kind of thrown under the rug after like, you know, 30 minutes into the movie because he brings up like the whole gambling situation a couple of times with his boss and within, you know, the board meeting that he does trying to figure out who they want to recruit to Nike as well. But yeah, like just some of those sequences, just I would have like this movie, even though it's like a little under 2 hours, I wouldn't have minded 2.5 hour. Like with biopics, I kind of expect 2.5 hour movies, but I was enjoying the characters. I like everyone in this movie. Viola Davis is great. Matt Damon's fantastic. Ben Affleck probably doesn't have as much stuff to like really like chew on as much. Like I didn't feel like his part was like as meaty or some of the other roles. But, you know, he's still great, too. And same thing with Jason Bateman as well. But, like, this is a movie. I liked all the characters. I could have easily watched it longer. But just, like, I wanted more meat to the movie, I guess. Like, it's a good sandwich, but just, like, the difference between, like, just, like, you know, it's missing one ingredient, I felt like.
You wanted that provolone, huh?
Yeah. Like, I got American cheese, but I wanted that mozzarella or that provolone. Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of some of the acting in this movie, I think there's one person that you neglected to say was the real person in this movie where you're like, damn, where's this guy been for a minute? I feel like we've been missing powerful Chris Messina like for so long.
I thought you were gonna say Chris Tucker actually, but Chris Messina is fantastic though. Actually, yeah.
You fat. Show up at the house.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed Chris Messina's performance. I thought he was hilarious. He's definitely like a great bit part. We know he can carry movies. I feel like, I'm not sure. I need to look at his IMDb to see
and
where he's
movies
been.
Too. We reviewed Alex of Venice, I believe it was.
Yeah. I forgot he directed that as well. So yeah, it just seems like he's definitely somebody who's in a similar camp to, I think what made this movie so enjoyable was that camp of actors. You know, Matt Damon's always enjoyable to see on screen. Some of the movies hit or miss. I feel like working with his best bud here really made the film a lot more enjoyable. It just suffers from a lot of the biopic syndrome of you have hindsight as a viewer of where things are going to end up. So the mystery of where the plot can take you sometimes is just a little bit lacking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just like I totally forgot about Chris Messina, honestly, because he was probably like I loved like how much he was chewing the scenery within his sequences, and he reminded me of like probably the funniest scene in the movie where he's chewing out Matt Damon and saying like, "This is never gonna happen. How dare you go behind my back? By the way, I'll see you on Monday." Like that was just like a really good joke, and you know it was like a nice change of pace with the, you know, like because even though it's not like an intense movie where it feels like, oh my god, someone's gonna die in this movie, it's just like it does feel high stakes within this movie because, you know, it's a crunch time, you know, they're trying to figure this all out, and you know, at the end of the day also, like, you know, like they just want this one person. They have opportunities to go for multiple small character or small basketball players, but they really want just this one guy and see something that Adidas and Converse don't see. But yeah, I thought like it's a really fun movie that's different and stuff. And also wanted to give a shout out to my friend Kenzie McKee. She used to be my coworker. She was the safety productions manager within this movie. So good job on keeping everyone safe on set for this movie. Yeah.
One thing actually before we close that I did want to mention about this film that I feel like I haven't heard too many people talk about, but I feel like the score is really what elevated this movie. Or at least the soundtrack that has really elevated this movie. I thought just the fact it felt like even before they got to the moment where Love on a Real Train by Tangerine Dream plays, it felt like the movie's score was based around that song. And then there's this awesome needle drop where that song comes in, and I'm just like, takes me back to Risky Business and how much I enjoyed the needle drop from that movie in this song. That's like probably one of my favorite Tangerine Dream songs. So it feels like even before they got to the moment where they actually put the song in the movie, the whole score was like almost based on that song, and I was already digging it a lot. So I just really love the score from this movie. I thought it was really effective, a lot of cool synthesizers and stuff, and I haven't heard too many people talk about that, and that's something that I feel like really made you feel like it was in the exact time in which it was taking place.
Yeah, 100%, and it establishes that within the beginning, like also really nicely. And then, you know, just like throwing in like Run DMC's like line of like, you know, their My Adidas song coming up too. Like the songs didn't feel very like needle droppy, like as opposed to like movies like just saw Super Mario Brothers movie. Like, well, I enjoyed that movie. Like the songs are very like, you need this song because this song is just like a needle drop and fits this moment like somewhat. Versus this like actually felt calculated, and they actually chose songs and worked it into the script and stuff. Like, you know, that there's like a specific art to that, and you know, a lot of mainstream movies don't do that and stuff, and yeah, they capture that very well, like you were saying with Air.
Definitely. I mean, this movie's now available on Amazon Prime, so you really have no excuse not to check it out. I think that it has its moments, it's good, but I kind of agree with you. At moments, there are times where it just feels like they kind of missed the mark because of the biopic essence, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess just at the end of the day, like, I guess I just want biopics to, like, you know, I want to see something new out of a biopic. I'm not sure what that is exactly. And, you know, there's plenty of biopics that do try something new. But I guess I just went in with higher hopes and stuff just because Matt Damon and Ben Affleck know what they're doing. We all know what they're capable of. And it's not like this is a dud of a movie and stuff. But, no, it's a great watch and stuff. I might not have loved it as much as others, but it's still a movie that I highly recommend. Check it out through Amazon Prime if you have it. Come back here, let us know in the comments what you thought. You could also rent it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all our latest updates.
And be sure to catch all our social media links down below for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our own personal Letterboxd accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.